Welcome to this fourth and last tape in the Junfan Jeet Kune Do trapping skills series. We will finish on this tape where we left off on tape 3 in terms of counter-trapping a trapper before we go into other issues, including entries and further follow-ups and trapping issues.
Now, again, the jut, or the jerk, I've seen that in a number of systems, and I've even seen people that don't know martial arts, quote unquote, they didn't study traditionally, that they'll still be in this kind of lead, and they'll try and, you know, just kind of disturb that hand, whether it's kind of hooking it away, or whether it's just kind of patting it down, patting it away and going, or whether it's an official jut, they will still try and do that. It's not something that is unique to Wing Chun, whether it's traditional Wing Chun or Junfan Wing Chun or whatever. So when Mark is in his left lead, if he just tries to jut me out of the air, again, the thing juts, whoop, bam. This is harmonious spring, the application of harmonious spring from a detached, kind of almost detached. In other words, it's his one hand. It could be that we're in here and he jerks a hand, okay? But right now we're saying that from this punch that he tries to jerk the hand, this is the Beal, okay? In other words, that can be with a parry, okay? Again, bang, again. So he just kind of reaches out to jerk the hand, bam. He just kind of reaches out, bam. I can either bong and then roll, or reaches out, I can ton. Again, kind of just, it's just, if he just kind of punches to reach out, kind of to get a reaction, and then he jerks and tries to hit. And as he hits, I come back with it. There, that's why the reason we call it harmonious spring technique. So the three directions that we go is that when he jerks that hand, the bong, going out this way. And again, when he does that, if I angle, he's going to sometimes just go right by me. Again, it comes, bam, comes up this way, right into the hit. And finally, coming back up right in here, with or without the rear parry hand. It does against that match, that mismatched jut. Again, his right or left doing my opposite hand. Now, sometimes what happens is that if he's in his right lead, he may try and with his right hand jerk and hit with his right hand. Okay, so that's right, exactly. He may just try and see, exactly, just like that. I'm just here, and he just reaches in. Or it could be that he punched, and as I parried, he jerks the hand. Either way, it's still the same kind of situation. So when he does that, one of the things that can happen is that you can jow. As soon as you feel that thing, you just disengage and come back up there. Or, as usual, again, the thing comes, whoop, coming back up on this other side. It's just kind of finding the energy. Now, again, if as he pulls, he hits with the other hand, okay, then you have to just kind of catch. Or if as he pulls, you have to try and bong it off to that side. So those are all slightly different variations. Again, just like with the double pak sao, when he's poked your lead hand and the rear hand has somehow gotten to trapping both barriers, you're now, you have screwed up because you're now in a very vulnerable position. So at that point, there's a real good chance you'll just get hit and hopefully you survive, disentangle yourself and continue. However, if Mark hits that high reference point, and then he jows to my high inside line. At this point, when he juts with both hands, and he tries to hit, hopefully I can quan sao. In other words, one hand, when they both get jerked towards him as he tries to hit back towards me, assuming that he did not really clutch me really well, that one hand will ton, one hand will bong. It's not likely that you're going to do a double bong sao or double ton sao. It just actually feels kind of awkward. Just as a little drill, somebody could do it, but it's going to actually be used like this. So again, when he hits and disengages to the inside line and jerks, then it comes here, and at this point, this hand is the open hand either with this or with the pak. Watch one more time. Let's take it slightly off the angle. Okay, that when you punch and you disengage, bang, and you pull it down, then I try and trap with this one and come up with this one, or that when you punch and disengage here, and this one hits this one, okay, this is the main thing. And if this was too far down, then I just go in with the hit. Okay, that is some of the option against that, the double jut sow. Okay, now, again, somehow we're saying whether he split off of my punch or whether he meets the high reference point and then goes to the inside sector, okay, we're saying what do we do? How do we counter that? So one of the ways that when he does that is that I just trap and come back with a guachoi. Again, so he gets a high reference that goes inside and guachoi. Again, it can be that when that thing comes, that bang, okay, cut. And again, when that thing comes, if the cut doesn't work, then I jut. Okay, and it can be, this is, I like this is kind of unexpected. So when it goes, bam, okay, I jow him. In other words, that when his jow comes, I just counter jow. Again, one more time, bam, jut, and again, if this hand blocks, let's go back up high. So those are some of the counters to when he tries to disengage to the inside middle line as opposed to inside deep line. Okay, now this gets just a little bit obscure and less likely to occur streetwise, which is always our first perspective. What are we likely to encounter in the street, as opposed to what are the high different levels of martial art, counting martial art? Well, we want to say, how does the martial art relate to street self-defense? Otherwise, it starts becoming irrelevant. Okay, now, that when I'm facing Markin, he's in his left and his left side forward, his regular boxer sleeve. Again, if it happens that we're engaged and he hewn sows to the inside, again, he's trying to circle the hand out and hit. That's his goal. Several of the things that I can do is that when that happens, that I can bong. Again, this gets into the sensitivity a little bit. Whoop, bam. Again, he circles that hand out, and I bong and come back. Or it can be that when that hand comes, when he circles that hand out, that I crash with this one and bring that back over. So there are different ways that can be done. And the final way is that if it's kind of wide, okay, then see how I just bring my hand back on top. Watch that slow. Is that as he circles, as he punches and he circles, I just bring my hand back to here and take it over the top. Or he punches, circles, and I go back low, back up to the top. It could be that if he's in his right lead, that some people, you'll see different people doing different things, and sometimes it gets tangled up. Oh, that's not the most uncommon martial art maneuver. That's your hewn sow going to the outside as opposed to this other one, circling hand, going to the inside. So when he circles with that hand and he's trying to hit low, I stop it with a gon sow and go here. Again, if that hand here and hitting, or it can be that when that circles, that I trap it with the left and bring it back with my right. Again, so it circles, and I bring it down with this hand and come back with this hand. So those are some of the things in terms of counter trapping. And then again, it all gets mixed in. I mean, we can do that with the improv, again, where I'm punching Mark, and he blocks, and he blocks, and all of a sudden he doesn't block, and so I hit, and then all of a sudden he hits me, okay, and I come back here, and all of a sudden he traps and comes back in with a hit, and then traps back, hit, okay, and that got a little bit Filipino there for a moment, but that's okay, because we both done that training. In any event, you just keep feeding the information, so whatever your information is, you bring it back into a flow drill. Now, this has all been kind of starting from the hand range and going in, but bridging in is a whole art in itself too. So when I'm facing Mark, say right to right for right now, that we will try, if we're going to hit with a hand, get his attention on the feet. if we're going to try and kick, a lot of times we'll try and fake with the hand. But to get specifically into the trapping, we'll try and distract him, put him on the defensive, and get him into a predictably defensive kind of posture. So in other words, one of the things that you can do is just from here, I'm at kicking range. So shuffle low side kick to get his attention down here, and then punch. So he's distracted, and maybe I'll even get the hit, but he's on the defense now. So again, and it has to be in rhythm. Bang, as you crash in. And it could be, again, that low crash high, right there, and then the follow-up trapping. But it has to be, it's not 2 beats. It's not 1 beat, 2 beats. It has to be that as he responds to this, you go there, comes in. And again, it could be that you just point kick here, or it could be that you take a thought, bang, coming into the trapping. But it has to be that just as he reacts to this, you do that, and comes back into your trapping, whatever it is that you're going to do. That would be low foot, high hand. It could be high hand, or rather low hand, high hand. In other words, this gets into what are referred to as positive and negative. In other words, this, okay, when he blocks, is a positive because it's a connection. This is a negative because you're just getting response, but it's without an attachment. That's what we refer to as negative. Okay, so it can be a high hand, and then, or rather, a low hand, high hand, or high hand, low hand. Let's do them both. Okay, in other words, that if I want to work in, I can go high, negative, low attachment, and when he blocks with that one, okay, or high negative, and it goes with the other hand, okay, we're talking about the neutral low reference from point. Before another was talking about if he blocks and it's not really to one direction or the other, you can go to the right or the left. Again, so this is the negative is the same thing as a fake, and he blocks with the right or left. So I go high, shoot, bang, again, shoot, bang, or it can be that he blocks with a lead hand, okay, again, but it's like I'm here, I go forward, but not enough. Notice that he's still not real, you know, I have a safety factor here. So I just get a response, and now I bridge in. Again, bang, coming in. And it could be that I go from the low to the high. So I try and get the hands down, and then I come up, so he's just, hopefully, just catching that, or it can be with the high hand, with the lead hand. So it's lead, because a lot of martial arts will go block, 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 instead of one, some people go right, that's for the high and low, right, 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 left, 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 right. So you just kind of determine who this guy is. The more traditional, a lot of times, the more it'll be one hand, because a lot of people are told you can just block everything with this one hand. And it's difficult if somebody's really moving with rhythm. So again, he blocks right, right, bam, back into here, or to here. He blocks, and if he goes, blocks with his right and then his left, bam, then we're back to here. And it can be that it's hand, foot, hand. In other words, I'm out here. I get his attention. This is a classic combination, dare I use that word, okay? And that's that you get his attention here so that you can go here and now crash in. Again, so again, this is too far away, okay, possibly too far because he's going to feel too comfortable. This is too close because he's going to start firing into my line. So you just give him the tension, bam, okay? And again, if the line is open, then just hit. And if you reach an obstruction, then you trap. So again, so I'm here, bam, back to here. And again, depending upon what he does with that hand. Watch one more time. It's the high, low, high, bang. Now I trap because the hands seem to be in reach. If high, low, high, there wasn't in reach, then that's when I reach and maybe get the obstruction. Again, I go high, low, he gives me obstruction, back in. And again, it has to be just as he responds to this, I do this. As he responds to that, I do this. As soon as he blocks, come there. Or one more time, if he gives me high obstruction, the bang, and then high obstruction again, that's when we come in back to these traps. So again, there's, it could be high foot, medium hand, low. It can be any high, medium, low combinations, but these are some primary ones that are easiest to affect and safer, because although we can theoretically go low hit, high hook kick, low, middle, and then disengage. As a general rule, I'm still going to emphasize the low kicking. It's just safer for us. We've been talking about attacking and attacking on the first, the second obstructions. We've talked about defending our attack and issues surrounding that. But we also want to remember that we can attack from defense. In other words, that when I'm facing Mark, for example, that when he throws his jab and I split, in other words, pak loi da, if he blocks with the rear hand, okay, that I can wipe that down and go here. Again, he punches, and even if he blocks that hand across with that hand, I can, even if I'm clutched in here, it still works. Watch one more time, the bam, bang. Last time, the punch comes, just as that comes across, I just say, fine. Basically, you're just letting it wipe and come back in here. Again, bang. Okay, it can also be that when he punches, some people are so sensitive naturally that they'll block with that lead hand. Again, just as I come up the middle, bang, it comes back up there. Or at least you have to be prepared for that possibility to do gua choi over that lead barrier. It's all, but again, as soon when he punches bang here, if he gets, that's the cut right there, which makes it simple. Okay, because bam, right there. Again, it's bam, bam, right there, and coming back in. And it can be that you anticipate the rear barrier by saying that when he punches, I hit, and then I just cup sow right there. Okay, okay, one more time, that the punch comes, and I decide, oh, I'm going to cut this thing away. Oops, collie again. Okay, so, and finally, that again, while this is not as common, this does happen, has happened, that when he punches and I come up the middle, that this just kind of meets in the middle, in which case I just jut and come back in with a pak. Again, I split and whoop, whoop, bam, and come back in with that. Again, the punch comes back, and then I just give a little jerk and hit up the middle there. Always being aware that I'm looking here and I'm looking at the, you'll notice that when we're starting off, I'm doing this. I'm not doing this, okay? Because I don't care about the kind of the emotional jive that's going on with this guy. I want to pay attention to the object at hand. I want to objectify my opponent. I want to see a field of activity. I don't want to be playing emotional games with him particularly. In other words, I want to be neutralizing. I want to say, okay, I see hands and I see feet. Okay, and I don't want to, because when I see this hand, I don't want to look at this hand and now this foot, oh, now this, it's just, you can't do it. You want to look at a field of activity. And that's why, as a general rule, I'm going to recommend gazing the chest so you can see both hands and both feet. What we're showing here is that you can trap off of his attack. Before we were attacking and either defending if he punched, or attacking and then countering his obstruction. In this series, he is attacking, but we are countering with sectors that lead into trapping. So in this one, when he's going to be in the left side forward, and that when he punches, that I'm trying to go parry and inside hit a wrong pak, and he will cross in different ways. Now sometimes this can be right here, sometimes it's going to be wider here. And so wherever it is, that when he punches, that just cut here. Again, the punch comes, he parries, and you cut. Watch again, parry, and cut. It can also be that if it's a little bit wider in the middle of my arm, that when he punches, that you can roll it over that inside hand. Again, because freeze, at this point, I didn't feel that maybe I could reach the cut, but I wasn't sure, so I wanted to bridge. So you trap over the hand. It can also be that when that happens, if he kind of blocks on the wrist, if you feel that it's blocking on the wrist, that's when you can hewn sow and trap. Or when that punches and you feel it on the wrist, that you hewn sow and lop. And indeed, this will happen now and then, that when the punch comes and I go here and he blocks with the lead hand, that you come back here. Again, the punch comes and I try and get here, whoop, blocks across with that lead hand. Watch again, blocks across, and you come back in to your maneuvers there. The outside wrong pak, that when Mark punches, what I'm trying to do is this. Watch again slowly. I'm parrying and grinding or cutting this arm underneath. Okay, and it helps if I sidestep. So you're clearing that out of the way. If you didn't quite remove the barrier, In other words, that barrier is still there and you didn't get to the face, then here are the first two options. That when he punches, okay, whoop, I got to here, so I lop-sow. And again, this is that high lop pulling the whole body. One more time, the thing, I punch and I didn't get it to his eyes, so now I lop. I'll lop whatever I can, okay? It could be that when he punches, I was too far away, so now I step in with Pak, okay? A regular Pak. In other words, when the punch comes, the first parry is here, I didn't get this through, so the hand transfers and goes here. For that matter, one of the things that when Mark is in a left lead, one of the things that because of the distance that sometimes was done with, one of the things that Bruce Lee would do is that when the hand came, he'd parry it and then Pak. Because, see, at this point he knew, so he'd get it out of the way and then step in with this. There was also Pak no da, Pak da. That's one of the things that could happen. So again, it's according to what, a lot of times the variations are according to the distance. So when he's back in his right lead, again, when the punch comes, it's about, now I trap, okay? Now, if I did get through and his rear barrier blocks across, but one of the things that I can do is that when the punch comes, and just as this comes and that other hand blocks across, that's your ball and socket or gua choi over the rear hand. Again, the punch comes, there's pam, comes back over. And again, there's so many variations. You just kind of feel according to the energy of which place that you would go to. If somebody really reached forward in intimidation, in other words, they just kind of went like that. So that when the punch comes, and I was here and that hand was kind of forward, that it is possible that you can kind of open it up and hit. Again, the punch comes, pang, and kind of that time I had to clear it with the rear hand. So it just depends what kind of energy, how forward, how back, when you're aware of it, what you would do. Again, in a lot of the JKD training, there was mismatched lead because right lead forward and being used to a lot of people being left forward. So when Mark is in his left side forward lead, a couple of things that would happen is that just, again, just from here, that when the punch comes, just launching into our trapping that way. It's one of the ways it would be done defensively. And again, going against the rear hand, the lead hand, etc. But that's a way that could be entered. Mismatch, it just poks out right there. Also, that when the punch comes, I cut. That's also one of the things that we want to do. Now, if we've already talked about that if that arm was stiffed and I didn't get it down, then we can jut. But also that when he punches and I cut, if he blocks across with that hand, I just cut over this one now. Okay, again, he punches and I cut and cut. It could also be that when he punches, I cut, he blocks across with that, and I decide to step and Pak and gua. Again, the punch comes, and I cut, blocks, and I try and transition in this way. And again, back into the knee of the groin. If the groin's there, then that's fine. Again, one of the things that also happens is that when he's in his right lead, okay, it could be right or left, but again, I'm just switching back and forth. It's easier to do this when you're in matched lead. That when Mark punches, okay, I just kind of, again, this just kind of guides away. Now, some people more traditionally could use Tan Sao. A lot of our people use just where kind of just this guides away. Now, if he blocks his hand across with his rear hand, okay, that as I go here, then you just disengagement. It's just, again, bam, from here, small disengagement. Let's take it just a little bit this way. Again, the punch comes, I guide, I disengage. Again, it's just I have to be saying, oh, yeah. I have to, it may be that when he punches, I see, what does he do with that hand? Oh, yeah, he blocks across. I go, whoop, yeah. Sometimes you have to do get some preliminary reactions before you do this. Let's review for a moment some of the major ways that the Pak Sao or slap hand is used. There are several categories of the way this is thought of. One way is the way of before, during, and after. In other words, when I'm facing Mark, one of the things is that when I say before, that means that you're just kind of getting him to respect your movement, and it's bam, you just do it. Before he moves, you just do it. It can even be, in this context, it's like a bam, or just as exactly, you just felt, up, this is getting too hairy. But again, it's his hands are there, and just moving around, you just do it. That's before. Again, whether you're matched or mismatched, let's say he's in his boxer lead again, his left lead, this is the during, is that when he punches, bam, you're just there. Again, you're here, bam, you just drive that thing. And again, trying to, as much as possible, it's in, everything's in, aggressive. And it can be back, it can be he's still in his boxer lead, let's say. He punches and it retracts. Whoop, bam. After, again, it punches, whoop, bam. Okay, because maybe he was not, you felt he wasn't setting up for big combination, but he's just probing with that jab. And he's thinking, he jabs, he's going, oh, this guy's bam, he's bam. Before he, and again, being ready at that point that if he comes to the rear hand to deal with it, he could be in his right lead. And the jab comes and retracts, whoop, bam, again. And it could even stick with it. Again, the punch, whoop, so come in right in with it, or it comes back, and then I come in there. So that's before, during, and after, but sometimes people talk about attached and detached, offensive and defensive. It's just another way of organizing the material. So when I'm facing Mark, the offensive detached corresponds to doing it before. In other words, we're here, and I just feel that he's distracted. Whoop, bam. Okay, whoop, bam. That's offensive detached, as opposed to I gain the attachment, offensive attached, which is what we were doing for a lot of the time. I'm just here, that's offensive attached because we gain the attachment. And it could be, like I was saying, that when he punches, that's defensive detached, or that he punches and I crash and then I go. Sometimes you just want to kind of run him into the barrier to get him kind of distracted and to just kind of initiate change, turning thing around from defense to offense. So it's important to see those different categories of the Pak-Sao used in those essential ways. We have talked about a lead barrier, rear barrier, defending the barrier, counter-trapping, trapping from defense, how to enter with some high and low activity. And then we also have to say, and we've talked about follow-ups, and we also have to say, what happens if this guy backs off? So we just have to periodically do this drill that when I'm facing Mark, let's say, just to use one of the primary examples, that I'm going to go ping choi gua choi, and it's a low jab, trap, and hit the back fist. And just as I back fist, he backs off. Now, so I hit, and all of a sudden I go, whoa, when he backs, he says, whoa, I don't like this. What range am I at? There are not just kicking range, but kicking ranges. There's at least 4 kicking ranges that we can talk about. At this range, we can cross stomp. If he backs off a little bit further, okay, back right here is the perfect range for the rear round kick. Okay, watch this again. So he backs off, bam, right here, back into the trapping, renewed trapping. There's a finger, we use the finger. Okay, again, and so what he will do is he'll constantly feed me different ranges of backing off, so I learn to judge quickly.